Hey family, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Cut Nice 50, and this is one-on-one with Cut Nice 50. We got another video review featuring Piers Morgan Uncensored, and I found this video on the standoff. Both links will be in the full description below. You know we always want to support our creators out there and people we're doing reactions off of. Like I say, it's about a fellow actor named Tyrus. I think I was getting ready to work with him on Black Lightning, but I ended up stepping away from acting for a little bit. Birthing a son and other obligations coming in with health and wellness. And this is right around the time that the pandemic hit. So all the stuff like that, and y'all know I'm a health and wellness advocate, and I'm about you having the choice to do whatever's right for you, for your body and your education. So I'm gonna leave that with that. But Tyrus, man, is an amazing guy. I watched this video, and y'all just share your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna go ahead and share it. But if you're new to the channel, we appreciate y'all, man, for supporting us lately. Y'all have been amazing. So we appreciate y'all. We're gonna continue to create more and more content out there for you. Let's go ahead and jump right on into it.
Mary Poppins wasn't talking about getting it on with the old man in the bathtub with a sex scene.
I don't think that there are any children's books that are specific.
We would have changed it.
But there are.
Tyrus just silenced Ava in a heated debate on the Piers Morgan live show. He wasn't pleased with Ava's response, and let's just say this was one of many to come. This is how it all began.
Well, let's move on to another topic, as Tyrus suggested. Another pretty incendiary one, actually. This is about a transgender murderer called Scarlett Blake, who dissected a cat, placed his body in a blender just months before she then stalked a male victim and killed him in cold blood. Now,
Piers begins with a statement that changes Tyrus's reaction. We can see Tyrus was in utter shock and confusion, which I'm not surprised. Let's see what Piers went on to add.
Now, it was reported by many media sites this was a woman murdered, and that prompted J.K. Rowling to be very vocal about this whole transgender activism issue, to tweet, "I'm so sick of this."
If you don't know about J.K. Rowling, here's a brief summary. J.K. Rowling is a British author and philanthropist who has been at the center of transphobia accusations for many years, meaning she criticizes transgender rights. With that, let's take a look at what Piers had for Ava.
As a woman, do you not have a real problem with statistics now being artificially, and I would argue, as J.K. Rowling has, completely disingenuously affected against women? So the murder rate will look like more women are committing horrific murder crimes.
That was a...
Yeah, and that's crazy right there. If you murder somebody, I don't care what gender you identifying as, it should go down as your regular sex, meaning the sex you was born into. You already know I've been in the background law enforcement over 25 years. And this is just sad to see stuff like that. But I used to get the stats when I was at GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigations. I used to see the stats of the crime rates, murder, robbery, you name it like that. We had a board and they'll come across, and it's just amazing that they're to this level now, that they're doctoring stats. And you've seen that during the pandemic times about the stats falsely reported to hospitals, death rates and stuff like that. And I can speak on this personally because I was at Georgia Bureau of Investigations, and most of the bodies that used to come in there, I used to receive them. So not giving too much details in there, but I did receive the bodies and talk to a lot of people who are in the medical field, from the CDC to our own biologists, toxicologists, chemists, stuff like that, and other people who I can't disclose on here. But I just tell you like that, you know, the government, they said it out blatantly. You can just research all this stuff for it. People was getting incentivized and for people who passed, and they titled it under COVID or whatever the case may be. But fact check that for yourself, or what we have to say, that we assume, or whatever the case may be, allegedly they are doctoring these stuff like that. So allegedly, the stats, you know, was changed a little bit to make the numbers either increase or look towards, pointing towards a specific thing. But we're gonna go ahead and continue. I don't want to hop on that too much. Like I said before, we already got warned several times in the past during the pandemic when I was doing more and more videos on the information that I received. And we know censorship was a big thing back then, but we're going to stick to this topic right here. I have no malice or ill will towards anybody. I don't care sex or gender, but we all know that murder and killing other people is wrong. And they are criminals when they cross that line to that extent and should be prosecuted to the extent of the law in whatever state they reside in. Let's go.
That was a pretty great question. Let's take a look at Ava's response.
I find the argument confusing because I don't care if that murderer identified as a woman or is a woman. I care that she was a murderer. I mean, Rose West was a biologically born woman. I don't identify with her or want to protect her
Scarlett
in any
Blake
way.
is a woman who committed that murder?
She said that she is a woman, and I don't really think
And that's enough for you?
Ava is partially correct about a murderer identified as a murderer, but she doesn't understand that this might affect the women's crime rating. And this is what Piers is trying to point out. You can't say you kill and identify yourself as a woman and that's enough. It isn't. Back to the podcast.
it doesn't do anything for me. I don't really care.
It literally will change
Like,
the statistics.
I think it does matter.
But
No,
it
but
doesn't-
I think it does matter because it matters in how we view public policy and the way we craft public policy. We know that 70% of transgender women in prison are in there for sexual offenses, right? Against biological women.
4 words. Esther, you nailed it. We can generally agree on what she said, but she didn't stop there.
And that matters. You're saying this person is just a statistic, but actually they paint a broader picture. This person is clearly a biological man who has committed a heinous crime, and in the name of women. That should offend you because it's fundamentally a fault.
That's what gets me is that Ava, you're all for women's rights, right to the point that something like this happens and you don't seem to care.
The majority of us can agree that the person is a biological man who is pretty much ruining the reputation of women. We can see it affects Esther and Piers, who continue to make sense in explaining it to Ava. And Ava, if you are all for women's rights, then that was a shocking statement you pulled. Back to the podcast, Piers invites Tyrus to share his thoughts.
I mean, Tyrus, this plays into this whole issue of transgender.
It's the grouping. It's transgender, black, alien from Mars. Doesn't matter. Murderer. Serial murderer.
That was a great statement from Tyrus. A murderer is a murderer. Even if he or she kills while holding a Bible, they're still a murderer. Tyrus had a lot to add.
And like I said, it's that grouping. It's so bad here in America because with grouping, you can get away with all kinds of stuff and blanket stuff and then take away from the actual issue. This individual does not represent trans people. He does not represent the gay community.
I take issue with that
He represents
it matters.
himself.
We can agree on this, right? If a black, white, gay, or transgender person kills a person, the target should not be the community, but the individual. The blame should not be this or that community, but the individual who has murdered the person. This was a good point. Moving forward, Piers had a response.
So here's where I think there's a slight flaw in that argument, which is you say, okay, if you commit a murder, it's not about your skin color, whatever. But it would go down in statistics that a black man had committed a murder, right? So say, for example...
Yes, it should be the statistics. Statistics are not open to feelings.
Piers has a point. In news and newspapers, sometimes they give a black man committed a robbery topic rather than the actual name of the suspect. This means what a person does can affect the community. However, Tyrus had a response.
The facts of the statistics is a man killed it.
But this
so
is the
then
whole
women
point.
wouldn't be...
Yeah, but
I
this is the whole
agree
point.
with
So-
you. I'm with you.
Yeah, but see,
I'm
Jake,
with you. He should be...
you've called this person
If
repeatedly.
he's sitting down and he still has a penis, Morgan, he needs to go down as a man. He's
Right.
That was a nice, solid response, and I agree with him. If a person is biologically a man, he needs to go down as a man in the men's prison. As we progressed, Piers had a question.
But should it
We
go
know what
down,
it wants.
Tyrus? But
It's
Tyrus,
done.
the key point, though, is should it go down as a crime statistic that a woman committed this heinous crime?
What's your answer? Let us know in the comment section below. Let's hear what Tyrus had to say.
And like I said, when that stuff like that comes to it, we hear about the stats now. I remember working back at SEDC, which is South Carolina Department of Corrections, back in the day, and we had trans inmates and stuff like that. And you got to be mindful where you put them. Of course, they was biologically men, but they might identify as a woman. Which most inmates, you got to remember, I was at this is a maximum security prison. They love the trans community because if you identify as a woman, that's even better for them. So whatever the case may be, I don't think when it comes to stats, you can't. You just got to put the correct stats down there. All the confusion and changing up, that shouldn't be it. That's like a facts. That's like if you're in court and you created or you committed a crime, they changing and saying that somebody else committed it. So if say on the legal document they saying this male committed this burglary and they clearly see a woman, if you had a great lawyer, you can get off of that because now you don't falsify documentation, especially in legal system. Oh man, that can create all kind of problems. But I don't care what it is. If you did the crime, you should do the time. And I don't think it's just sad that we live in a world today that your sexual orientation matters. It doesn't matter to nobody in their day-to-day life. It's supposed to be private. That's something that you do or conduct in your own private business, and it's nowhere in the public realm. It shouldn't be. That's all. I never understood that judging people off of what they do in their private life. I don't get it. Even as a believer, I don't believe criticizing somebody of what they choose to do in their own personal life. Now, when it affects the others, when it affects the life of kids and stuff like that, then I might have an opinion, but I'm still never going to judge somebody about what they do because I know it's not my place to judge them or condemn them or criticize them. And I learned this a long time from, like I said, working in the maximum security prison. I don't work with serial murderers and stuff like that. And maybe they've been rehabilitated and stuff like that. But I don't know. I always kind of led off that coming from the Bible that we should never condemn somebody or judge them because we don't know the circumstances. And as humans, I think we're all capable of good, evil, and being pushed to an extent that you have no reason. I mean, you have no rationale and you end up lashing out and making a horrible mistake. Now, we do have good and evil people in this world who don't care. People who are maybe possessed or whatever the case may be, who lose all rationale, or people who are suffering from a disorder of some kind. That's a special case. Those are different topics that we're not going to touch on this basis, but we know that that does exist. If you're a believer, you know that exists out there. But when it comes to stuff like this, I don't think we're able to condemn them because you couldn't be working in that environment. We see it all the time, people being mistreated for something they did in the past, and the present actions are different, and I had to learn that a long way, man. I got some different topics to talk about, from the death of my brother, my friend of mine named Keith, who was Keith Wallace, who committed suicide and was in ministry, and the church turned his back on him. So I have many topics and examples to talk about and share, but those will be in different videos, and I have to go into deep content about it. So I have a different belief system. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, who knows, but it's my own personal belief that I'm never going to judge or criticize or condemn somebody, even if I believe that they did a horrible and heinous act. I know they're evil. I know they're capable of doing much more harm out there, but I'm not going to be surrounded by them. I'm not going to personally condemn them. I'll let the law and God take care of them the way that He is going to. I'm not the executor. I'm not the person to hold them accountable for their actions. That's not our place. We're made here for a specific reason, and we're still got to be able to do our life. Just imagine if we condemned everybody for whatever the case. I think it'd be back in the days when we're stoning everyone. It's hard not to be a sinner in today's time when you look on social media and all you see is pretty much half naked people and negativity and the Great Divide when they're forcing race against race and color. It's just horrible. The trajectory I see this world coming to. That's why I'll try to preach more positive vibes, positive energy out there, and try to stay on the positive side of things, even though we know this life is negative and a lot of negative things that they show us. The world is amazing place. It's a lot of good things that's out there, but that's not what's pushed. Let's go ahead and continue. Sorry about the ramble, but hey, when we get passionate, we get passionate.
Or a man.
The statistic should say his height, weight, gender, and the time of murder. That's it. Who cares about who he was as a person? He's lost that right once he took someone else's life.
I think we can all agree with the answer, right?
I actually agree with that. I agree with J.K. Rowling. If I was a woman, I'm not declaring myself as a woman today. Maybe tomorrow I will feel like one. And according to Ava Santina, I can just feel like one and be one. I think that is it is what you said, Ash.
What a cheeky move by Piers by indirectly bringing up what Ava said earlier. We can see a reaction of self-defense from Ava. Maybe that's what Piers wanted. Briefly, moving on to another topic, woke ideology in children's books. It was a good discussion. Let's jump in.
Tyrus, I'm a little bit confused because a couple of moments ago we were talking about gender ideology, and you were talking about the books that Libs of TikTok wanted to ban or wanted to have. You said you don't want to ban them, but you'd like to see sort of warnings on them about explicit content. I'm just wondering why would you want explicit content warnings on those sort of books? But then when it comes to this, you're saying that everyone is too soft.
That was an interesting question. Let's take a look at what Tyrus has to say.
Tell you not to feel the way that you do.
If there's explicit warnings on it, because if there's explicit warning on the books at the library, then the children will need parent permission to check them out. So instead of just or a teacher or guess what? There's not always good people in the schools or an adult to be giving those types of books to children.
We can agree that Tyrus is an amazing thinker. If we want to protect the children from harmful stuff and raise them right, there is a need for explicit warnings in the books.
Nah, I kind of agree with him. I ain't going to play this whole video. Like I said before, the full link will be in the video section below. I want y'all to go ahead and check that out. But, man, like I said before, when it comes to kids, I'm a firm believer, but that we have to protect them. You got to protect those who can't protect themselves. That's even in the Bible. That's on every religion. I think it's human nature right there to protect those who are less fortunate and who can't help, but they can't protect themselves. So I'm to the hop and try to do a quick workout myself. But I just wanted to share this video, man. Like I said, I want to continue to do content for y'all. Share your thoughts on that video, man. Like I said, they call him a crush woke commentator. My guy Tyrus crushed that woke commentator. And it's just amazing how different our perceptions is in the world. When it comes to kids, that I seen some of those explicit books, and I think Governor maybe DeSantis, when they was talking about Florida, they kind of tried to make it seem like he was attacking African American community, Black people specifically, trying to get rid of what it is, African American, trying to get rid of one of the days, Black History Month, I think they was trying to get rid of. I had to remember it. But they was putting all kind of things from them. And I seen some of these books, and they are horrible. If you want your kids at that age to see genitalia, learn about being raped, and it's all kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't want to get into it because I have to put all kind of warnings and stuff like that on this video because it is sensitive in nature. But these books, I think it should be up to the rights of the parents, but if parents are making that choice, I don't know what to say. That should never be on the kids' mind. We don't even have the day where kids can come home and watch cartoons and stuff like that on regular TV no more. I don't even know regular TV really exists. Everything is cable. Everything is you got to pay for this, pay for that. Reality TV this, reality TV that. But this is a good thing about YouTube and some cable networks that allow a lot of kids friendly cartoons. It's a lot of other things that go on in these cartoons today, but time has changed, and we got to be mindful that it's not the way that it used to be. every generation is different. We know that, but the people who are making these specific things for whatever reason and are targeting our kids is setting them up for growing up faster than we would like them to be. And they're still vulnerable. They're still impressionable. They're going to do what they have to do or do whatever we do. They're going to copy us. And I can speak for that for a fact because my son has just turned 2 years old on the 13th. And he's going to do everything I do. If he see me doing the push-up, sit-up, whatever, he's going to try to do it. And kids, they just watch and see what you do. So just be mindful. Whatever you do around them, they're going to mimic. You can tell them, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But they think it's okay if they see their parents doing it or they watching your behavior. They're going to kind of mimic that to the best of their abilities because they can't comprehend the consequences of that or the reaction there or response is going to take from other people. They just do what they see. But share your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this video. Full link will be in the description below about both of these videos. Piers Morgan, he's on it sometimes. And the standoff, I appreciate him making this video right here because I wouldn't have found it. But y'all stay tuned for it. We're going to be touching base on a lot of other videos. I think I'll be posting some of my other videos when I first started Spotify. I think that episode 1, keeping the faithful on there, and I'm gonna just get back on doing it, man. Like I said before, it's late over here for me, and probably y'all are out there sleeping. But we got a long day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. My long day. I'm up over what? Let me see. I'm up over 24 hours, so probably 28, 30 hours. I'm up until my wife get up. I've watched my son. We only do daycare a couple of days a week, but we got to do what we got to do. So we're going to stay active. We'll get a lot of exercise. You're going to keep me busy. But that's just life. I love each and every moment for it. I appreciate y'all. And all your support you continue to give us, man. Y'all stay blessed, stay safe, and stay motivated out there. That we out.